After the war, Germany was on its knees. Poverty, hunger, and despair ruled the streets. But from the ashes, one man rose. His words ignited millions, and his dream brought a nation back from ruin. His name was Adolf Hitler, the man who promised glory and led the world to the edge of hell. The rise and fall of the Führer. He was born in 1889 in a small Austrian town called Braunau am Inn. No one could have imagined that this quiet, stubborn child would one day set Europe on fire. His father, Alois Hitler, was a strict customs officer. His mother, Clara, gentle and protective, was the only light in his childhood. When she died, the boy was shattered. From that day, he trusted no one, and he learned to rely only on his will. As a teenager, Adolf dreamed of becoming a painter. He admired architecture, art, and grand buildings more than anything else. Twice he applied to the Academy of Fine Arts in Vienna, and twice he was rejected. Those rejections built something inside him: bitterness. He began to believe the world had stolen his destiny. He spent his early 20s wandering the streets of Vienna and Munich, sleeping in cheap hostels, selling small paintings to survive. During these years, he absorbed ideas that would later define him: extreme nationalism, belief in the superiority of some races, and hatred for those he blamed for his failures. He listened, observed, and waited. The soldier. In 1914, World War I erupted. Hitler, desperate for purpose, volunteered for the German army. For 4 years, he served on the Western Front, carrying messages under fire and surviving gas attacks. He was wounded twice, decorated for bravery, and for the first time felt like part of something greater than himself. But Germany's surrender in 1918 crushed him. He saw the armistice not as defeat by the Allies, but as betrayal by politicians and civilians. This belief would become the foundation of his rage. The Speaker. After the war, Germany collapsed into economic chaos. The Treaty of Versailles forced it to pay enormous reparations. Inflation destroyed savings, unemployment soared, and people were desperate for hope. Hitler found his voice in this despair. He joined a small political group, the German Workers' Party, which he soon transformed into the National Socialist German Workers' Party. The Nazis. In beer halls across Munich, he began to speak. His speeches were fire, emotional, angry, filled with promises of unity, pride, and revenge. Crowds grew. The party grew. By 1923, Hitler attempted to seize power in Munich in what became known as the Beer Hall Putsch. Failed. He was arrested and sentenced to prison. In his cell, he wrote Mein Kampf, My Struggle, a mixture of autobiography and ideology. It outlined his vision: one people, one leader, one empire. When he left prison, he no longer wanted to rebel. He wanted to conquer power legally from within. The rise. The Great Depression of 1929 destroyed what remained of the German economy. People lost faith in democracy, and Hitler's promises of strength and revival became irresistible. In 1933, he was appointed chancellor. Within months, he turned democracy into dictatorship. Opposition parties were banned, the press silenced, and every oath of loyalty was sworn to him personally. He was no longer just a politician, he was the Führer. Germany changed overnight. Massive public works projects began: highways, factories, rearmament. Propaganda portrayed Hitler as the savior of the nation. Millions believed. He rebuilt the army, defied the Treaty of Versailles, and the world watched, uncertain, unwilling to act. The war machine. By 1938, Hitler annexed Austria and then Czechoslovakia without firing a bullet. He promised peace and then invaded Poland in September 1939. The Second World War had begun. Germany's armies advanced with lightning speed, blitzkrieg. Poland fell, France fell, and Britain stood alone. In 1941, Hitler invaded the Soviet Union, believing victory would make him unstoppable. But he underestimated both distance and winter. The German advance froze outside Moscow, and his dream of a thousand-year Reich began to crack. At the same time, the dark side of his regime reached its peak. Millions of Jews and others he deemed unworthy were imprisoned and killed. In what would become the Holocaust, a crime without parallel in history. While his generals fought on the front lines, Hitler fought imaginary enemies in his mind, trusting fewer people every day and isolating himself inside fortified bunkers. The fall. By 1944, Germany was collapsing. The Allies landed in Normandy, the Soviets pushed from the east, and Hitler's empire shrank with every month. Assassination attempts failed. He grew paranoid and ill. In April 1945, Soviet troops entered Berlin. Inside a cold concrete bunker beneath the Reich Chancellery, Hitler spent his final days giving orders to armies that no longer existed. He married Eva Braun in a brief ceremony, and the next day, April 30th, 1945, he ended his life. Outside, the city burned. Germany surrendered within days. The man who once ruled Europe was gone, leaving behind a continent in ruins and a legacy of horror. Aftermath and legacy. After the war, the world faced the truth of what had happened. Cities destroyed, tens of millions dead, entire cultures scarred. The Nuremberg trials brought many of his followers to justice, but the question remained: how could one man gain such power? Historians agree, Hitler's rise was not magic. It was built on fear, anger, and despair. He gave simple answers to complex problems, and people followed because they wanted to believe in something again. Today, his name is a warning, a reminder that hatred can grow from words, that nations can fall for illusions of greatness, and that silence can be as dangerous as violence itself. He died believing his vision would live forever, but history proved him wrong. Empires fall. Only truth endures. This was Adolf Hitler, a man who promised glory and delivered ruin, a name the world will never forget.